Oversight Project is a division of the Heritage Foundation, and they released what may or may not be a blockbuster today. And Steve Baker is here to break down all of the details for us. So, Steve, we saw the story earlier, and you have everything that we need to know about it. So tell us.
Well, we did speak to a spokesman from the Oversight Project at the Heritage Foundation today, immediately after this came out. What they are doing is essentially whether FBI is doing it or not, they're not telling us that they're actually involved in this. This is not some sort of secret technology. It's nothing new. We've learned a lot about this even in the January 6th trials about how they're able to track people's cell phones. But see, this is not just law enforcement or government agencies that do this. This is Google. This is, when you walk into a boot store in Nashville, they're going to track you, and then you start getting these ads. It's called ad ID. Every single one of our phones, our cell phones, have essentially what is the same and the equivalency to your social security number. And so once they identify that phone, then they can pretty much track that phone wherever it goes. So here is the gist of what Oversight has discovered through their own tracking, is they were able to ping and identify about 9 different phones at the home of the shooter. You know, the kid, the 20-year-old Crooks. And so they were able to identify which of those phones were then going to his place of business where he works at the nursing home. So after they identify that and make sure that they've got the right ID there for that, now they can track it everywhere else it goes. Well, they followed it to the fairgrounds there, Butler County, where the rally was with Trump, where Trump was shot, and unfortunately other injuries and deaths as well. So what they discovered was that this kid was basically doing recon at that site on July 4th and July 8th. So they were able to track him. But they also learned, and this is very interesting, so this tells us either how smart this kid is or something else, is that he turned his phone off after the 12th, or at least shut down all of the apps on his phone so he couldn't be tracked on the day itself.
Interesting.
But it gets better than that.
Oh, keep going.
Well, it does, because in the process of looking at all of these phones that visited his home and visited the nursing home where he worked, they found a phone that actually pinged 7 or 8 times in D.C. at a building called a Gallery Place, which has a very large footprint of FBI offices and where source meetings and interviews regularly take place in the coffee shop of that particular building.
Yeah, and we can see that on the screen right now. So right now we could just say it's circumstantial evidence, but if these are the phones that have been linked to Thomas Crooks and his family and everybody else in there, then this could potentially be something. But don't worry, you guys. The FBI is telling us that they are investigating the matter. We have nothing to fear, right, Steve?
Nothing at all. I mean, obviously, there are many, many non-nefarious reasons why somebody would be at that building in D.C., and indeed there are. But it's very curious, and it's something that we are going to look at. As a matter of fact, Oversight Project has blessed us and given us the data on this so that we can apply our own resources to this as well and assist them in tracking this down.
So it's great work by them, obvious work, but great work because no one's doing it. And, thanks to you, Steve, for talking with them today. We'll see what we can do with this information in the near future. Do they feel as if they've mined everything when it comes to looking at the comings and goings with cell phone data?
Not even close, because this is incredibly tedious work. We're talking about a massive amount of data, and then the process of tracking people and tracking where they go.
It seems that this is the sort of things that other people, independent journalists and organizations have to do in the absence of the kind of accountability and transparency that we get from an FBI or anyone to say, here's what we've learned so far about the shooter, which has been mostly absent entirely. Are you surprised by what has come out so far? And in essence, the lack of things coming out from the FBI's on telling the public what they know?
Well, what we've learned so far have either been by independent investigators, media investigators, congressional investigators that are on the ground doing the work, who we interact with a lot, our own team here at the Blaze. And otherwise, we're not learning anything. And if they are giving us anything, it's regretfully and under duress.
Let me say, I mean, you're so right about this. It's independent researchers doing this work, but this is a great time to explain the problem with conservative media today, which is you have to take the money, which it'd be expensive to pay private firms to run all this data if you don't have people who are willing to do it because they just want to know the truth. And when you think about, which corporations maybe have that money and don't spend it on this kind of thing, that might be telling. But this is the kind of thing that could be done all the time if we had a proper media. But instead, we end up all banding together just like this and working together to try to find the truth without, a $1 billion company that should be doing this all the time.
And we're getting good information from mainstream media sources as well. I mean, the AP, the New York Times, they have much deeper pockets than some of the right-wing media sources. And so they're able to put 10, 15, 20 people on the ground there to track these leads down. And so we're able to pick up a little bit here, and then that gives us a lead to where we need to go.
I have to say, I'm getting a little tired of all these videos, though, of everyone going to the site and then trying to explain what happened. I mean, there's about 1,000 people, it seems like, have gone on YouTube and put up a video.
A little bit better than that. We can do a preliminary report from Senator Ron Johnson, a little bit more credible than those people in all of their videos, that says the would-be assassin Thomas Crooks was spotted by police almost an hour before Trump took the stage. So, Steve, what are some of the latest things that we've been seeing, this drip from the media, and now at least we have some credible sources here from Ron Johnson?
Yeah. Actually, we can almost validate everything that came from Senator Johnson's office. And that reason for that is before the gag order, here at the Blaze Media, we had sources on the ground, and we were able to get incredible intel for that first 12 to 16 hours before the gag order came in. We knew exactly how far the shot was from the counter sniper, 448 yards. I knew the wind direction. I knew how many clicks were on the dial on the scope.
Which Donald Trump said in his speech that night that he affirmed that.
That's right. And then we knew what the deployment actual numbers of United States Secret Service agents were on the ground that day, not only close detail, support detail, but their surveillance, how many snipers they had. All of these things that Johnson has reported have been validated by what we've been able to learn ourselves. The most important thing, though, of all is that siloing of the radio comms. That is why this shot took place, and that is why Trump's close detail, the good guys, not the DEI hires, but the big guys on stage with him, did not move him off the stage, is because those counter snipers who had Crooks in their sight were having to deconflict, meaning they were told in that 9 a.m. briefing that day that there was going to be a sniper team on that roof. And so when suddenly a kid in the prone position on that roof with a rifle, they didn't know if it was going to be a blue-on-blue shot. They didn't know if they were going to take out one of their own, friend or foe. They had to wait. But the communications were completely, if there's a moment of incompetency, that is the moment right there.
Yeah. I hate to do the whole whataboutism thing here, but how much of this do you think is, this could have been a lot worse, obviously, that it got extremely lucky to have the shot only graze the ear of former President Trump. But how much of this do you think is related to the kind of bubble just the reaction to the fact that it is Donald Trump, rather than any other major political figure like this, about what we might know publicly without having to do the really big legwork of getting this out there?
Certainly, if it had been Biden that had taken the shot, or even Kamala Harris, or one of the other major protectees. But this is the big thing that nobody is talking about, and that is the idea of a threat matrix. There's nobody bigger with a larger threat matrix over them right now than it is Donald J. Trump, period. As our sources say, times 100. And nobody wants to kill Biden. He's checking out on his own. Doesn't have to happen. Nobody wants to kill Jimmy Carter, who has his own Secret Service protective detail. The biggest and largest person under threat, who should have the largest protection detail right now, is Donald Trump.
But just to be clear, what you're saying is really, really important. At the heart of everything is, you're saying it was a communication breakdown where the reason they knew he was up there and nothing was done in a variety of directions is because of a communication failure, or at least that's what's coming out now.
That's absolutely correct. As a matter of fact, his close order detail was not hearing it in their ears that there was a problem, or they would have taken Trump off the stage.